Louis I the Great died on the 10th of September 1382. Following his death, in as short a time as possible, Louis's wife, now Queen Regent Elizabeth Kotromanić, along with her councillors Palatine Nicholas Garay Sr. and Cardinal Demetrius, Archbishop of Esztergom, rushed to have Louis's 11-year-old daughter Mary crowned. Knowing full well that there would be objections to this, they wanted to bring the situation to a fait accompli and cement their regency and power as legitimate. So Mary was crowned just 7 days later on the 17th of September 1382 as King Mary of Hungary, Dalmatia and Croatia, etc. In an effort to keep themselves in power, the regency attempted an almost unprecedented logical leap. It was understood by traditional legal custom that a queen could never rule over the realm of St. Stephen. It was assumed that Mary's future husband would be crowned king. But nobody ever said that the king had to be a man, even though many felt it was strongly implicit. This logical leap not only put a big question mark on Mary's legitimacy, but also threatened the realm's alliance with Bohemia, as Mary's marital commitments were also put to the question. A considerable amount of notables of the realm didn't support Mary's succession at all, claiming that the line ended with a woman. Thus, the rightful heir to the kingdom was Louis's cousin, Charles III, King of Naples, who, before he was King of Naples, served as Duke of Slavonia, Dalmatia and Croatia during Louis's reign, where he presumably built up a base of support. Thus the cause of Charles III was championed by Bishop Paul Horvat of Zagreb and his brothers Ivan Ban of Machva and Ladislav. And then, in 1383, the situation started to deteriorate fast. In Dalmatia and Croatia, Ivan of Palizna, prior of the Knights Hospitalier at their stronghold of Vrana, rose up in revolt in open favor of Charles III of Naples. In response to the revolt, Stephen Lakfe was appointed Ban of Croatia and ordered to crush the revolt, forcing Ivan of Palizna to flee to the court of King Tvrtko I of Bosnia, who was starting to contemplate options. Luckily for the regency, Charles III of Naples was busy fighting against Louis of Anjou, a claimant to the throne of Naples and uncle to Charles VI of France. Thus, a potentially bigger problem was being averted. For now. A diet was summoned in June 1384, and Mary swore to uphold the decrees of her father from 1351 in an attempt to stabilize the realm. But that was soon undone when the regency attempted a diplomatic turnaround. In order to gain the support of France against Charles III of Naples, a betrothal was negotiated between King Mary and Louis of Orléans, former fiancé of her late sister Catherine. This effectively meant breaking off the marriage between Mary and Sigismund von Luxembourg, Prince of Bohemia and Margrave of Brandenburg. The move shocked the royal council. In opposition to this, the Judge Royal Nicholas Zetzi, Stephen Lakfe, and the royal treasurer Nicholas Zambo declared opposition against the regency, favoring the marriage with Sigismund, partially because that was outlined in Louis's will, partially because Bohemia was a lot closer than France. And they were right. Soon the von Luxembourgs, angry with broken alliances and marriage agreements, invaded from Bohemia and Moravia in the north. And King Tvrtko I of Bosnia, seizing the opportunity and stabbing his own family in the back, invaded in the south, attempting to take over Dalmatia, his armies led by his duke Hrvoje Vukčić Hrvatinić. And while all those things were developing, long story short, the Polish estates were demanding that the King of Poland should live in the Polish realm. Queen Mother Elizabeth finally gave in to the Polish demands by sending her daughter, Hedwig, to be crowned King of Poland in October 1384. Hedwig's engagement to William von Habsburg was almost immediately broken off, and later she married the pagan Grand Prince of Lithuania Jogaila, who was christened in 1386, and took the throne as King Vladislav II of Poland, creating the Jogelian dynasty and taking the first steps to the creation of what was to be known as the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. In late 1384, Louis of Anjou died, and Charles III of Naples finally had some free time on his hands. Well, to a point. There was a small matter of being excommunicated and at war with the Pope in Rome. But even in spite of that little factoid, Bishop Paul of Zagreb immediately set to work and visited Charles in Naples in 1385, where he invited him to take the crown of St. Stephen. Charles III of Naples arrived in Dalmatia in September of 1385 and was riding towards Buda with overwhelming support. Quickly, Queen Elizabeth Kotromanich attempted to fix the breach with the von Luxembourgs and some of the discontent by agreeing to the marriage of Sigismund and Mary, and as that was taking place in October 1385, Louis of Orleans was just about to leave France for Hungary to meet his bride-not-to-be. Elizabeth's efforts were too little, too late. Charles III was riding for Buda, and his supporters were assembling for a diet, and bravely bold Sir Sigismund abandoned his wife and fled to Bohemia. At the assembled diet, the nobility overwhelmingly acclaimed Charles III of Naples as king. Mary abdicated her throne, and Charles III of Naples was crowned at Székesfehérvár as King Charles II of Hungary, Dalmatia, Croatia, etc. on the 31st of December 1385. He appointed Ivan of Palizna as Ban of Croatia as a reward for his support early on. Now, some of you may be thinking that it's all over. Well, that's what Charles II thought too. Former Queen Mother Elizabeth Kotromanich and Nicholas Garay Sr. convinced him that they were giving up, that there was absolutely nothing to fear, and that they were now his loyal subjects. Just 39 days into his reign, on the 7th of February, Charles was attacked in the royal castle in Buda. He was dragged off to Visegrad, where he was killed on the 24th of February, 1386. Queen Mother Elizabeth again took the reins of government in the name of her daughter, while the supporters of the late King Charles II, the Horvat brothers, and Ivan of Palizna openly revolted, in the name of Charles's young son, now King Ladislav of Naples.